Chicago PD has featured multiple memorable romances, but one couple had so much potential that it's disappointing to see their chemistry being forgotten. The NBC series is seemingly brushing their love story to the side in Season 13. Given what happened in the Chicago PD Season 12 finale, tension between the two makes sense, but a complete stop to their story is nonsensical. While Chicago PD isn't all about romance, some of its most compelling plotlines and character arcs have centered on love. For example, Kim Burgess and Adam Ruzek's Will They Want They situation dominated the show for years as the audience anxiously waited for them to finally get together and stay together. Now, though, Chicago PD is all but giving up on its next couple. Voight and Chapman's possible romance is all but dead in Season 13. Chapman shuts Voight out after the Chicago PD Season 12 finale. Jason Burr as Hank Voight and Sarah Buse as Nina Chapman in Chicago PD Season 12, Episode 22. NBC. Chicago PD introduced Nina Chapman, an assistant state attorney, in Season 9, and she quickly formed a complex, but intriguing dynamic with Hank Voight. Throughout the next couple of seasons, Voight and Chapman went from opposing forces to reliable allies as they got to learn and understand one another better. Somewhere along the way, Chapman developed feelings for Voight. She told him as much towards the beginning of Chicago PD Season 12. However, Voight never addressed Chapman's confession as she left town for work. And upon her return, they didn't talk about what had previously gone down between them. Perhaps Voight and Chapman could have had that discussion one day, but the events of the Season 12 finale shot that possibility down. Voight dealt with his Charlie Reed problem by arranging his death, and Chapman deduced his involvement in the murder. She confronted Voight about it, and he didn't deny it. Chapman was gutted by Voight's actions, and Chicago PD Season 12 ended with them not on great terms. She realized she didn't know who he was, and he was coming to terms with that fact. During an interview with TV Line, showrunner Gwen Saigon previewed what's to come in Chicago PD Season 13, including the state of Voight and Chapman's relationship following the Season 12 finale. As one might guess, Chapman is avoiding Voight. She won't take his calls, and she stops showing up within our unit like she used to. According to Saigon, Chapman believes that all hope is lost for a romance between her and Voight. However, they'll remain in each other's lives. Voight and Chapman work together, after all, and the two Chicago PD characters will attempt to maintain a professional relationship despite everything that has happened between them. Chicago PD is wasting Voight and Chapman's romantic potential. Voight and Chapman's story doesn't have to be over. Voight and Chapman in Chicago PD Season 12. Based on the Chicago PD showrunner's comments, it appears as though Voight and Chapman's possible romance is dead in the water heading into Season 13. Chapman was the driving force behind the effort to advance their relationship. So, now that she doesn't believe they can be together, and Voight likely won't push her, what could have been will no longer be. Unfortunately, suspending Voight and Chapman's romance, probably indefinitely, is a big mistake on Chicago PD's part. Yes, Chapman has every right to be upset with Voight. In fact, he's lucky that she's not going to report him to the authorities, as it would be well within her rights and her duty to do so. However, that doesn't mean the Chicago PD writers must flush Voight and Chapman's relationship and its endless potential down the toilet. The tension between them that arose from their last scene in the Chicago PD Season 12 finale should simply create a rather significant obstacle that gets in the way of their love story. It shouldn't lead to the end, though. The series would have to put in a lot of work to fix what Voight broke in his relationship with Chapman. He orchestrated the death of the deputy chief of the Chicago Police Department, after all. For most couples, there would be no coming back from that. This is Chicago PD, and a fictional TV show, though, and redemption is always possible. Voight could and should find love again in Chicago PD. Jason Burr's character hasn't had a steady love interest. Chicago PD Season 12 finale highlights how difficult it is for Voight to change. Image by Milica Georgievic. Over the course of Chicago PD's 10-plus seasons, Voight has never had a real love interest aside from Chapman, and even their love story never advanced far. As such, there's a side of Voight that we've never truly seen. It would be quite interesting to see him in a romantic relationship, and it could be a groundbreaking development for his character. Voight could find love again. The hope was that it would be with Chapman, but if that's out the door, then the writers should find someone else who complements him. There's only so much that the one Chicago show can do with Voight before his storylines become endlessly repetitive, and a Chicago PD romance for Voight would certainly be something new.